Hello, everyone. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to remind you that my book, Drummers on Drumming, is available now on Amazon as both a paperback and an ebook. Based on the Big Fat 5 segment of this podcast, where I sit down with my favorite drummers to discuss the 5 records and stories that shaped their approach to the instrument, this book is packed with insights from the drummers who redefined how we think about the modern drum set. You can grab your copy now by checking the link in this episode's show notes or simply searching Drummers on Drumming on Amazon. So thank you for all the support, and now let's get into the show. What is up? Welcome back to Big Fat 5, a podcast financially supported by Big Fat Snare Drum. My name is Ben Hilsinger, and this week's guest is Ray Brown, drummer for the band Snail. I've been a big fan of Ray's drumming since I heard him on Snail's debut album Lush in 2018, and this was a really fun conversation. His upbringing in the DC area music scene gives him authority on a lot of music I've never heard of before, and I'm assuming maybe some of you as well. He's got a lot of energy, and it was great to sit back and relax and learn a lot from a guitarist, bassist, turned fabulous drummer. If you're unfamiliar with Snail, I'm excited for you to go down a rabbit hole of one of your new favorite bands. And just so you know, we play a lot more than 5 tracks today, so buckle up. Here are the records that helped shape Ray Brown into the musician he is today. Cheers. In what ways do you actively seek out inspiration to make sure that your playing is always fresh for not only the listeners, but for yourself?
So the way, at least, I guess, kind of the current state of touring bands, the touring industrial complex, if you want to call it that. Mm-hmm. Like we have like 10 months gone, just like fully gone. I don't see anyone. And then like 10 months home. The plague coming also helped with that too. But so while I'm home, I try and play with friends, like play inside little projects, like work with other people, even just like people I know, not even in a jamming way, but usually it's kind of like I play in another band called Prude with my friend Nick. I play a band called Aunt Katrina, which is the brainchild, I guess, my friend Ryan. They're like, oh yeah, I've wrote like 6 songs. Here's demos. Do you want to like play 3 local shows a year, record in our like home studio setup?
It looks cool behind you. It's a great vibe.
Oh, I mean, we love it over here. I can take no credit. This is all Alex, the bass player Snail, who I live with too. We've done other stuff too, like in pandemic, post-pandemic, where it's kind of like the rhythm set, like, oh, Snail's like not on tour for 6 days. Let's get Ray and Alex to like back me up. This happened with a few friends. Yeah, we have like the setup to do it. Alex loves to engineer and produce, and he's like so talented at it. So that's kind of when the main way of trying to stay fresh. And like Aunt Katrina, that new band, EP came out probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Ryan had me playing like break beats on it and stuff. Whereas like I have no idea how to do this, but it's just kind of like tapping into another part of my creative brain and really like unlocking some stuff I didn't even know I could do. It's kind of giving random stuff a whirl, so low stakes, just like having fun with friends. Yeah. So that's the main way as far as like trying to stay fresh.
I love that. As an artist, what would be your mission statement? I guess this is a drummer-leaning podcast, but I know I have some friends that are guitarists and bass players that listen to this. But just, yeah, as a creative, what's your mission statement?
I'm trying to think of how to make it as like not cheesy and corny.
Dude, make
it
as cheesy as possible. No, cheese it up.
Just the easiest. Again, not trying to overthink it. to make something fun, make something new and fresh, make something unique. If there's a frustration as far as state of the world, state of the quote unquote scene, mental state, whatever, love to take that out on music. That's the whole point. It's so much fun.
And so, talking about those other projects you just mentioned, are you primarily the drummer there, or are you heavily involved in the melodic chordal songwriting?
Oh, I'm the drummer in both those bands. Those are kind of one man bands, and the other bands for Friends I Filled In Two is a pretty like one man band process. Granted, we'll all be kind of down here like working on songs. I also have perfect pitch too, which is funny because I play drums, but I'll chime in like, oh, like that chord could be fun there. Or even me or like Alex, bass player, kind of, this applies for Snail Mail too. Let's like add a pre-chorus in here. Let's extend this outro. Yeah, I'm not like writing, like contributing riffs or anything, but definitely not just drum ideas too.
All right, well, let's just hop into your Big Fat Five, because I know you have some really awesome honorable mentions too, so I want to get to those. And you said you did change the order a little bit, which was great. So there is a specific intentional order for this, which we can discuss as we go along. But the first one is The Smiths. The artist is The Smiths, released here. And you wanted to talk about the live on the tube version of this record, I guess. And so I do have a clip from the song you chose, which is Still Ill. And we're going to talk about a little bit later the verse to chorus transition, and the drummer is Mike Joyce. So before we listen to it a little bit, take it away. Where'd you hear this first? How'd it change you? All that jazz. Floor is yours.
Yeah, Smith's definitely in my top 5 of all time. You know, aside from all the other kind of like cultural aspects and whatever controversies, but just musically, like such an important band for me. Got into them probably like when I was in 5th grade, so they're pretty like early. I was like 10, I guess. So they're just kind of like really crammed in me, like kind of foundational band. But one of the things that's really stuck out with me the whole like since, especially like unpacking different drumming elements for this list, is just how synced the kick and snare is with the bass player and guitar player's right hands. Just such an overarching principle for my playing that's like such an important facet of rhythm to me. I think the Smiths especially I think this came out 83 or 84, but
84 looks like it.
Yep. Yeah, I think they're definitely pioneers as far as like a catch-all term. It's sort of indie rock drumming, indie rock approach, where as opposed to like a traditional drummer sense of like drummer lays the foundation, backbeat, build everything on top of it. The arrangements and rhythmic approach in an indie style is way more like interwoven and kind of locked in. Coming across this in 5th grade just kind of informed so much for me after this, especially Alex, roommate, bass player, also engineer, producer extraordinaire. I know this is a big influence on him, so I'd say specifically it's kind of a rhythm section approach for a lot of Snail Mail stuff. Just like I'm like looking so intently as like right hand and like hearing in like my in-ears or monitor, like whatever his pick's doing. So it's definitely a big kind of like Smiths undertone in a lot of that. But I mean, there's like so much I could say about the Smiths in other regards, but especially as far as the rhythmic approach. This song and this version on YouTube specifically is just kind of like a great example, I find, of that rhythmic approach.
It just wasn't like the old days anymore. No, it wasn't like those days of mine. Still does the body rule the mind, or does the mind rule the body? I don't know. Ask me why and I'll try. Oh, ask me why and I'll die. And if you must go to work tomorrow, well, if I were you, I wouldn't bother.
So good.
Yeah, and I think they were all like 21 or 22. That's like off their first album.
Very young.
It's like so unfair. I mean, with the Smiths kind of just like as time has gone on and history is kind of like critical, whatever, most discussion around them is just so Johnny Marr and Morrissey based, but I think the rhythm section is so underrated. Also, rest in peace to Andy Rourke, the bass player. One of my favorite bass players of all time. Honestly, another just huge rhythmic inspiration for me as a drummer. I'm sure like so many other people, like not just bass players. So much of like whatever indie style you want to talk about is like can be traced back to like that verse and chorus. And they're also no one ever talks about them as a punk band, but I feel like there's a lot of punk undertones in that era of the Smiths too. I mean, they're from Manchester. I know, like, I don't know if they met at like a Sex Pistols show or something, but definitely even just in Manchester, like Buzzcocks and like Joy Division stuff, like there's definitely an underrated punk element to them too. That's like always appealed to me, especially finding them in that era too. There's kind of just that element of the band I think is like really speaks to me too, is like really present in that song also. And then for a Snail Mail context too, especially that era, like same setup, the space taken up by the drums is like much different. It has to be way more kind of interwoven in with like that instrumentation. They're very influential to my approach, at least for especially the earlier Snail Mail stuff. I think early Smiths is a big touchstone.
All right, so number 2, Fugazi. The album is Red Medicine. Of course, Fugazi, release year is 1995, so 11 years after the first choice. Not that it has to be in any chronological order, but just to put it in context for people. The key track you wanted to look at is Birthday Pony, and you said the fill around 1 minute, so we'll start a little bit before that. And then, yeah, Brendan Canty. So take it away, and then we'll listen to some Birthday Pony.
Yeah, this is my favorite drum fill of all time.
Okay.
Just kind of like there's like a little pocket of my brain that's like just the kind of my last brain cell, just this fill kind of going on and on.
Yeah.
Yet being from the DC area, Fugazi are like such a huge influence and pillar and foundational. So these songs are chronological by release, but also how I found them too. So I think like not long after finding out the Smiths and kind of like classic indie stuff, I like found out about probably like something like 5th grade or so. Yeah, and it kind of inescapable being from around here.
Sure.
All those bands, Brendan especially as a drummer, but my main takeaway with him as far as the influence on my drumming is just how like smooth and natural, effortless and flowy his style is. He's just like such a master of all that, especially in the context of a more punk band. And not even that it's necessarily like the craziest chops, just like the feel and the pocket is so unmatched, but also like effortless too in the coolest way. I also could have easily picked Repeater or 13 Songs by Fugazi as like the essential albums. What Bren's known for is the bell on the drum kits, which kind of like the mic drop of this particular fill. But also, I mean, I use the bell on the ride cymbal more than most people, and like to like some people get kind of bummed on it, but it's just part of being from DC is like that bell is so important and kind of like foundational, just being from here and like being so Brendan Canty pilled. So
to get gear talk for a second, because I'm curious, what ride cymbal do you use? Because bell, the musicality of a bell is really important to me. I know sometimes it's just whatever SIR picks for the fly date, but if you had a choice, what would be your ride cymbal?
Ask me that question for the next song.
Okay, awesome, perfect.
This is a birthday party. This is a birthday party. This is a birthday party. This is a strange kind of
The best.
because I feel like a
Let's listen to that one more time.
This is a birthday party. This is a birthday party. This is a birthday party. This is a strange kind of red.
That's the most confident fill I've ever heard.
Honestly, the part right after that in that song, yeah, if you don't mind playing it.
All right.
When I'm right here at home, I'm not.
Yeah, like so dynamic there too.
Yeah.
I opened up these accounts, all these separate accounts, because I can't comprehend the single right to the end.
Yeah, he has that. He has like a weight to his playing. It's almost like every time he hits the snare, it's like he's like having that little bit of a stutter stop. Do ga.
The push and the pull feel is huge, especially for earlier Snail Mail songs. He's a huge influence on that too. I would be so. I want to like text him and see if he like used to click on the album or something. They're such like archivists too with that like band and label. Like they might like probably have like all the studio journals written down. So I could probably get an answer. Yeah, like nothing. I'm like so because that push and pull is like so important. Like it was like a big transition for us to go to a click track, even the studio. Fun fact: Pristine is not played to a click on the album, too.
Really?
It's like just such a kind of difficult one to dial as far as like Lindsay's right hand, my right hand, my like kick and snare, and Alex's right hand. Yeah, just the kind of like push and pull of it was like too hard to get to a click. So that song is no click track on it. But no, that push and pull, like the kind of that Brendan style is a huge influence. Such a dynamic player too, where like sounding like so ferocious on those fills and then kind of like slow like cymbal taps after, like just being able to like just serve whatever the song needs is like another huge influence I try and do all the time too when I can. Dirt by Snail Mail is probably a song that I just kind of like close my eyes, like try and pretend I'm Brendan Canty kind of vibe. I will say that's the first EP. That's the Habit EP, which is before I joined the band. Sean Durham, who's like still a friend of me and the whole band, is the original drummer of Snail Mail. She just like was in college and just study abroad program and couldn't play a few shows. So like how I ended up in the band. So I inherited some parts. There's like the Habit versions that she plays on, and then like the Audio Tree versions are the kind of like recorded ones that I'm on.
Okay.
But yeah, Dirt especially is kind of like very, very Brendan Canty-esque. One of the nicest people I've ever met, music or otherwise, too.
Brendan?
Like, just, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, so gracious with his time. I'm feeling kind of like fanboy around him a little bit, just because, like, there was just such an important band for me. Even, like, you know, like, Right to Spring and stuff are, like, such icons. But, yeah, like, one of the sweetest people out there. Mesthetics also are great, his current band. I want to shout out an honorable mention here, too.
Of course.
So what kind of ties into like the flow, as even like mid 90s stuff, but just like flowy indie rock style, would definitely be Trucker's Atlas by Modest Mouse. I think just kind of from the jump of that song, you get the gist of it.
Here we go.
Rest in peace, Jeremiah Green. Also, yeah, huge influence. Similar, just kind of in the same vein of the push and pull and the flowy style. Also, an incredibly nice guy. I'm like so got to me like middle of 2022. We played like the same fest as Modest Mouse in Belgium, I believe. Like such a sweet guy. But yeah, that huge influence on so many drummers. That song specifically is like a nice moment in the Pitchfork documentary about that album, about Lonesome Crowded West. They like, talk about like it, where they kind of just showcase his like flowy style and how creative of a drummer he is.
I've never seen that. I'll check it out.
Highly recommend for sure. But yeah, just another like kind of instead of like drummer playing it backbeat, everyone build on top of it. Like he's just so that approach is so the opposite and like speaks to me way more, is like way more relevant. So it's like everyone's right hand just kind of being like flowy, not even like robotically synced, but just kind of flowing and playing off each other is like exactly what makes sense to me.
I honestly love all your choices. They're so rad.
Thanks.
But let's go to the next album, number 3. So the album is Floral Green. The artist is Title Fight. Release year's 2012. The track you wanted to showcase was Like a Ritual. And it's we'll start a little bit before it, but it's the chorus fill around a minute into the song. And Ben Russin is the drummer. So yeah, take it away.
I have so many thoughts on this. Once you play it, it'll kind of like come back to me. So
okay,
might break the mold a little bit there.
That's a great sounding record too. That sounds awesome.
God tier engineering and mixing, not really for Snail, but as far as just heavy music, like a real like high watermark as far as like loud rock drumming and everything else too.
Sure.
The top of the top as far as that. You mentioned before what ride cymbal I use. I use a 21-inch K Sweet Ride.
Okay.
That is the only piece of drum equipment I need anywhere. I can play on like trash cans. As long as I have that ride, I'm good. I know multiple other people I grew up with got K Sweet Rides because of Floral Green. I don't even remember if he mentioned it in like an interview, if it just kind of got passed down, or it's like people like zooming in on like YouTube videos and stuff. There's definitely like I played a Sabian B8 like high school.
Of course.
Really not bad. Crash is pretty good. I could play with one if need be. But yeah, like once you started touring more, I was like, let me get the Floral Green Ride. I have another honorable mention attached to this one is a Drop by Turnstile. I mean, I listened to your D-Fang episode. He's a Maryland icon and what like superhuman drummer. I know Title Fight's a big influence for him too, but he's also, as far as like catchy fills go, modern kings of catchy fills, he's a huge one too. I mean, like the middle of Drop, that fill is like a hook in the song. Just so hard to pull off, and not something even I wish I could. We like the list of people that can pull off a drum fill as a hook is short, but he's up there.
So good.
It's insane.
Oh.
No future. Drop.
But yeah, that intro fill, my God, what a madman.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to call it a drum solo? Can a drum solo be 4 seconds?
Yeah, hell yeah, it can.
Extended fill. Jury's still out. I don't know if I can call it a solo, but
does he extend that live, or is it just he kind of stays to the record?
Oh no, because they're playing it even faster.
Of course.
So it's like a second and a half, like. Yeah, that was like a big every night of the tour. I would like try and air drum and beatbox it at the same time. I feel like I got closer to knowing exactly what it is, but I'm still not quite there yet. But this all to say that Daniel Fang also a modern master as far as just like catchy fills. You're seeing the band and you're like air drumming his specific fills. There's many to choose from. There's some Russin undertones in there too, among many others.
All right, so number 4, the album is self-titled album from Click. The release year is 2014. The track that you wanted to showcase is Lil T, and the drummer is Tom Anthony. So take it away.
Yeah, so this is a very underappreciated kind of random band. Definitely in the like 2014 Philly emo band camp trenches for anyone else who was in there. Yeah, so this album came out. This is around when I was in mainly playing guitar and bass all like middle school and high school. But around this time is when I started playing more drums again, started playing drums in friends, like typical story of like 4 people want to play guitar, no one's going to play drums. I was like, oh, I'll take a stab at it. So around this time, this album came out, and like the big takeaway for me, a similar kind of flowy, effortless style, and even more so than some of the other examples I mentioned before, are just how musical and like instead of like backbeat laying a foundation, like he's doing fills that like sync up with the guitar and bass all over the place. So influential for me, and like so like really just like help elevate the song, in my opinion. He has almost kind of like the whole band has a bit of like an early Death Cabby kind of style. Yeah, but definitely an underrated, underappreciated band. One of them, PJ, he's in this band. They're Gutting a Body of Water, now I'm a big fan of too. But yeah, kind of like
it's an insane band name. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, the singer like plays with his back to the crowd. They do like all sorts of like lots of bells, lots of really sick bells and whistles. I'm a big fan. Definitely a bit of a random choice, but kind of came to me at the right time, and we're like so so formative for like a certain style. Really kind of later high school, getting into more like band camp indie, East Coast DIY kind of style. Like Click just really like exemplify a lot of that, which I think there's like just a lot of not even different rhythmic approaches, but like very important to me. And the song will show it too.
Great. All right. Here's Lil T.
Does it hurt to know that I'll never be able to let go of the feelings we had once upon a time? Does it hurt to hear when I loved you for 2 years and a couple months no easier with time? I've been thinking a lot, all the fights we had and what they were on.
Yeah, especially even after listening again, like where a lot of people's instinct would be just like, yeah, like little backbeat, little, let's kind of back up, let the guitars do their thing. But the way that he's like, his instinct, I'm sure he has to be guitar, but I haven't like met him or anything. I don't even know if he's been in other bands since Click, but yeah, just his like approach just always feels like could be so busy in the wrong context, but that like really help elevate the hits. Very like hitting with the guitar and bass forward
Mm-hmm.
approach, especially like, yeah, when I joined Snail Mail and like the other bands I was in kind of later high school, like really big influence. I think just like what makes music instead of like, drummer laying a foundation to like let everyone else shred, just this kind of like unified, especially like a band that like also has that kind of slow push pull effect. There's some like slow core undertones, if you want to call it that too, in there. But yeah, I think that's like a really underrated band, but important influence for me. Full Control is the Snail Mail song that I would say would be like a reference
Okay.
for me. Other songs in the album he uses like kind of rim shots a lot. His kit, I believe, like no rack tom, no crash cymbal, so like pretty minimal kit setup. I would just kind of like maximize, like using the bell, using the rims. It's like another thing. Like I just use like one crash, one ride. I don't have like 2 floors or anything, but like I try and like use them for all it's worth. Like little, I got like I had a hi-hat tambourine, I got the tackle instrument little drum sizzler. So like bells and whistles, when used tastefully, I think are like super, not just fun, but like you can do a lot with a little. I think this other spots on this album, like his rim shots, I think there's some in here too. Yeah, like minimal kit, but kind of using it, milking it for all it's worth, I think is an important aspect too. This one has some other honorable mentions.
Mm-hmm.
Similar like 2013, 2014 band campy indie sort of stuff. Hoodwinked and AM for sure. I can't remember which songs I put. I mean, there's a few off the top of my head.
Yeah. Let's see. Sorry, you put The Well by AM, and then the song Angel from Space.
Yeah, for the first like 30 seconds of both of those are like great examples of like that era that like have really shaped my approach. If you play them, I'll probably have another note or two on them.
Here's The Well by Avlov.
How do I make you take it down?
Very cool. Yeah, I've never heard or listened to Ovlov, so this is why I love doing this podcast. I get turned on by these bands. Yeah.
Yeah, they're really kind of like they were like kind of like the people that liked them back then, like loved them, myself and kind of my whole friend group included, but they're really like getting more traction these days. For the albums they put out like 10 years ago, which is cool, and they're playing not really the biggest, like most active live band, but they're playing a little more these days. But Theo specifically is such a just like powerhouse monster drummer. That's another situation. The singer, songwriter, guitar player, Steve, is Theo's twin. It's like also unfair kind of like musical, like inherent musical language there, but he has another influence as far as like playing with the rest of the band, like the parts being just so musical. And yeah, with this kind of like 2013, 2014, like as I was, like 15, 16, 17, just like really kind of like seeped into me like a sponge, those principles as far as drumming approach.
Yeah, and to give him a full shout out, Theo Hartlett is the drummer.
Yep, there's a big shout out Theo Hartlett. I think he does like some session work and some teaching too, but he rocks.
Hell yeah. And then yeah, Greg Rutkin, the drummer for Level Up, spelled LVL, the word up, 2 words, and then yeah, the song Hoodwinked. So do you want to play a little section of that?
Yeah, or Angel from Space.
That's what I meant to say. Yeah, Angels from Space by Hoodwinked. Here we go. Oh yeah.
Another honorable mention in here, Harvey by Alex G. Would be remiss if I didn't mention that too. Known primarily for, producing, singer, songwriter stuff, but like his approach to instrumentation and arrangement is so next level, god tier, and creative. Harvey is, I think, a great example. Another 2014 Philly band camp DIY classic.
All right, here we go. Here's Harvey.
Success for my body, success for my friend. Success is the only thing I understand. Head back home to the place I grew up. Give my medals to the ones that I love. I'll chase Harvey through the door in the wall. He says never catch me, never miss me at all. Rule comes down from the corner of his mouth. I say I love you, Harvey, you got it out. I love
On the fade coming up.
I wanna prove that I got the balls. Harvey keeps on playing with his food. He doesn't understand what big boys do.
I think that's it for drums on that one. Yeah, that album. I mean, DSU by Alex G is my favorite album of all time.
Oh wow.
I believe Alex G is drumming on. I think he did all the instruments on everything until recently. Yeah, less so like my approach for probably stuff I play now, but just kind of in general, like so forward thinking. It sounds kind of insane. Sounds like it's like recorded in like a house over from where he was, but like works so well, just fading it kind of almost randomly in the middle, just like throwing everything at the wall. When I see Alex G live, everyone's kind of defaulting to the like air drum or screaming their hearts out to the lyric also.
Sure.
But again, in that vein, as far as the approach and timeline, for sure.
Are you a fan of Petey?
I've seen the name around, but have not checked him out yet. No.
A few of the vocal inflections of the last 2 choices remind me of Petey. Maybe shout out to Petey. He's great, really funny. Also has a lot of cool Instagram sketches he does. But anyways, I think you would dig it.
Okay,
lot.
cool. I'll be sure to check that out. But yeah, no, definitely like Alex G, Ovlov level, definitely like showing some of their where like there's kind of like bands that popped up, but like really showing their legs as time goes on for sure.
Absolutely. No, I don't know a lot of Alex G, and I want to go down all those rabbit holes you just said. But
Hugh, especially him, he's got like I think like 10 or 11 albums, and they all like you listen to them for like 10 times and you pick up on new elements. So much,
yeah.
A lot in there.
The best kind of records for sure.
Totally.
All right, so number 5, the album's Tesseract, and the artist is Warehouse. Release year's 2015. Key track is Promethean Gaze, and I'm going to butcher this drummer's last name, Bleichner.
I've heard it pronounced a few ways. That's my default for pronouncing it too. Doug Bleichner.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish I knew the actual pronunciation.
It'll be in the show notes, people. You can look at it. But yeah, Doug. Let's just go. I think I would put money on Bleichner. But yeah, so Doug Bleichner from Warehouse. So take it away, and then we'll listen to some Dougie B.
Perfect. There's so much I could say about this album and band. This came out in 2015, I want to say. Yeah, they kind of have like a Smithsy approach as a whole, like a little more on the like robotic side as far as like how locked in everyone is, but like just like jaw-droppingly locked in and just like tight, and especially with like how much everyone's moving. Like it's unreal like how much everyone's able to like weave within each other, play off of each other. Both Warehouse albums, like so many songs I could have picked. Doug's got like the steadiest right hand. Especially like kind of modern era at least, but that's another one where I close my eyes writing on the ride or the floor tom, or like a close high, especially like, all right, how do I get each of these hits as exact and like consistent as possible? Like I think of Doug, I think of this album. Also a minimal kit approach. Like I don't know, rack tom, no crash. It's like doing the most that he can with the smallest amount. Yeah, definitely a less is more or like as far as his setup, he's doing like so much with what he's got. He was in Omni, who are a great band. He was in Lexi for a minute too, but like again, another just like of that time, such an around the time where I started drumming more and more, like huge influence. A little like I wish I could like play this fast and like harder to replicate, but definitely another like just from how much I've listened to this album in my life too. Like definitely it's in there for sure.
Hell yeah. Here's Promethean Gaze, which is actually the album ender.
Yep.
Here we go.
Promethean gaze, swim in the forms, living in days, the love of remorse, a pitiless world, tests its course, continent waves, descending rush. Promethean gaze, swim on the world, a concrete array, the sense of rebirth, feverish man, pressing the source, you would not fight and I would not try. Promethean gaze, swim in the forms, living in days, the love of remorse, a pitiless world.
Yeah, I like that he, in the middle of a phrase, he'll go from a ride to then go to the floor tom, then back. He just makes it just a little more interesting and dynamic throughout a seemingly part that you can just kind of coast through.
Yeah, like he is kind of the cool trance effect with it. Like that album specifically is like 30 minutes of like I don't know how he does it. And like even like when they play live, like everyone shredding seemingly on top of him, but the more you listen, like it's all intertwined. And as you mentioned, like how kind of like loopy and flowy the bass playing is, like Doug's like his kick and snare are like locked in with the bass playing, which is like such an insane cat and mouse to pull off that he does so well. So it's like a real like an advanced approach of the like locked in with everyone. I wish they were only banned for probably like 2 years maybe, not long. I always wish they did covers of early Smith songs. I feel like there's such a time between like Smith's kind of musical approach, or like definitely a through line as far as like this kind of post-punky, where the Smiths have more of the jangle, like Warehouse take a little more of like a Stereolab approach.
That drumming kind of reminds me of some of what Philip Selway did on In Rainbows by Radiohead.
Oh, weird. Definitely. So it's giving Weird Fishes for sure.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, so those are your top I mean, we played so many songs. I'm so happy that people are getting a lot out of this episode. So you're welcome, everyone. And thank you, Ray, for taking the time. But before I let you go, because I'm sure you're going to be creative in some form today, if people do want to learn more about you as a drummer, maybe contact you, of course, see you play live, what's the best place for people to get a hold of you and just follow you?
I mean, my Instagram is at RadyBro, which is a username I hate. I would do anything to get rid of, but just since I had the account, fifth grade, so it was probably like blasting the first Smiths album was like, RadyBro would be a fun name. And I'm just stuck with it, which sucks. But my email's in my bio there. I'm trying to go to as many shows in the DC, like Baltimore area as I can. You can just kind of find me there. I book shows in DC. If you come out to any Red Brick Presents show in DC.
You can talk about that. Yeah, Red Brick Presents.
Yeah, I try and do like one of those a month. You can come and punish me there. Some of the best drummers around right now. The next show I'm doing is this band Fiddlehead. I don't know if you're familiar.
I'm not. Really
cool. In the kind of like Sunny Day vein, I would say. Their drummer Sean Costa is unreal. He was in Have Heart too, who were like a bigger hardcore band.
Sean Costa definitely sounds familiar for sure.
Yeah, you should get him on here. He's awesome.
Okay.
If you want like just find me out at one of those. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Hell yeah, man. You're a treasure trove of knowledge when it comes to this style. And it's cool because listening to these, it is your drumming with, that I've heard with Snail Mail is different enough that it's fun to know that this is your influence, but you still make it unique to you for what you're doing. So that's, I mean that in the highest regard. So great job.
Dude, you're the best. All right, I'll see you around, man.
Hell yeah, man. Bye.
Big Fat Five.
All right, today's big fat favorite is from Joe Saders of the New Pornographers. One of his choices was the album Wings at the Speed of Sound. The artist is, of course, Wings. Release year's 1976. The key track he chose is Let 'Em In, and the drummer is Joe English. And so here's what Joe had to say. Let 'Em In is one of the greatest, most simple grooves ever. With the hi-hat accents and the basic kick-snare pattern, Joe English knocked it out of the park on this one, with a little help from Denny Lane on the military drum bits. I've had multiple sessions with different bands and artists where they've asked for the Let 'Em In beat. It's timeless. As a bonus, you can put this song on at any party and the vibe goes straight to 10. I swear it's because of the feeling you get from the tempo of this one. Let 'Em In has the perfect tempo. Put that on my gravestone. Also, I love the story that Joe English answered the call for what he assumed was an ordinary audition for a rock band in some basement and ended up face-to-face with Paul McCartney. It's safe to say he got the gig. All right, here is Let 'Em In by Wings.
Knocking at the door, somebody ringing the bell. Someone's knocking at the door, somebody's ringing the bell. Do me a favor, open the door and let 'em in. Ooh yeah. Someone's knocking at the door, somebody's ringing the bell. Someone's knocking at the door, somebody's ringing the bell. Do me a favor, open the door, let 'em in. Yeah, let 'em in. Susie, Brother John, Martin Luther, Phil and Don, Brother Michael, Auntie Jim, open the door.
And that's the show. If you're listening on a platform that allows ratings and reviews, do that. It helps more people find the show, so it'll get bigger and better, and hopefully I'll have a chance to sell out one day. But you'll be an OG listener that can brag to all your friends. Anyways, why don't you go and check us out at bigfatsnaredrum.com and follow us on all the socials. Just search for Big Fat Snare Drum and you will find us. The show is edited in part using iZotope RX Audio Editor. It's amazing, so go check that out at iZotope.com. And thanks again to Gunnar Olsen for the theme music. Bye!